Hey guys, what's up? Real Dawn Seeker here, and I am coming to you with a live play commentary, sort of Heroes of the Storm coaching. This clip was submitted to me by my boy Black Arrow, Arrow708. He's playing on Jaina, and the team matchups thus far are we have Jaina as Arrow as Jaina. We have an Abathur as a support, Stitches as a tank, Genji DPS, and we've got a second support in the form of Alexstrasza. On the enemy team, we've got Butcher, we have got Jim Raynor, we have got Muradin as their tank, they have got a Sergeant Hammer Specialist, and what looks like the new hero, Decane. We are going to be focusing primarily on Arrow's gameplay. Okay, this is going to be helping him get better. So as we go through this, this is completely live. I've not seen this before. He has literally just submitted this clip. I'll be breaking it down into the individual areas of what he did,
10 seconds,
and what he should have been doing, the mistakes that he's made, everything like that. He's a brand new player to Heroes of the Storm. Only played AI, and the only reason why he played AI was to get used to everything. Now, the only hint that I have is that he told me during this game that one of the players was AFK because he asked how to report them. That's the only thing I know. I don't know if he won, I don't know if he lost or whatever. So first point, getting on the vision, that's good. Now I've got to wonder what he's going to be doing. Pause it here. Okay. So the first bit, this is the first slight technical error, okay? And I do want to point this out because this is actually quite big. So what Arrow has done here is he's come from the point here. He's gone and got this, okay, which is good. And he's swept up around here, and he's got to go into this bush that's just up here. He doesn't know at the exact same time that someone, unknowing to him, is going to be in this brush right here, okay? So that's instantly problematic, okay? The very fact that he doesn't know about this guy here, Deckard Cain, is going to cause him some problems, okay? So his misstep here, and this is before I've even started breaking down into the main commentary, is that he is heading directly into a zone where he has no vision, okay? It's likely that he's going to either swoop up through here or swoop up through here and then go into lane. What he actually should have done, if you take your attention down to the bottom map, is loop back around and come up the safer way, so that you'd end up coming up through here. This guarantees you a safe path, and if this had been someone else, if this had been a primary damage dealer, then, you know, maybe things could have gone a little bit differently here. I'm assuming that Deckard Cain is going to jump out and attack him. We also see that there is the Butcher, who is positioned just up here, and we can see from the enemy's vision that he can't see anyone yet, but we also do know that the Butcher's right here. Jaina is just coming up in through here. Okay. So we're going to go through these all, and I'm going to try and keep an eye on Jaina here as best as I can. Just making sure that I'm getting everything correct. Okay. So we're going to go through this from the point of view of Arrow. And I'm not going to lie, I did have to edit, just have a little jump cut there, because I wasn't sure of how to view everyone. So Arrow's going to come up through here. So he's now been spotted by Deckard Cain. Butcher's made a bit of a mistake here. He's come out and given it away. Really, Butcher should have been in this bush that's up here, and he shouldn't have been back here. But I can see why he did that. Sergeant Hammer sitting in the back here. So right now, from what Arrow knows, the lane is pretty clear. He hasn't got any vision on anyone. But with the fact that we've got Sergeant Hammer here, we've got Butcher up here, which you will recognize in a second, Deckard Cain. If he starts heading into lane at this point, he's going to be really, really screwed up because it's a 3-on-1 situation. So we'll see how he handles this, but it's altogether not looking so good thus far. Deckard Cain has now revealed himself, and Arrow has immediately done the right thing and ascertained the danger. Okay, so from Arrow's point of view, he's just seen something come out of here. He doesn't have any idea that Butcher is here. He has no idea that Sergeant Hammer's here. All that he knows is Deckard Cain is here. You could possibly poke from this angle, but he should be poking at a safe distance. So Arrow has done the complete correct thing here. He has stayed in a safe distance, and he's poking. So this is kind of unfortunate. The Genji has only just started to come back out of base. He is in a 2v1 lane, and with an Abathur as well, no one is soaking bot lane, so it seems to be the other guys aren't really doing their jobs, but at least Arrow is staying up in the top lane. Hopefully, they will have a little bit more success in mid because they've got the Abathur support. And at this point, if I'm Arrow, I'm looking down, I'm going, why is no one covering bot lane? They've already lost, practically a full minion wave of exposure. You can primarily blame that on the Genji at this point. But still, Abathur should have positioned himself right down here and be at least assisting with the lane and sponging the XP. Arrow's doing the correct thing. He's staying at a safe distance. He's not playing too aggressive. He's still trying to poke. So that's good. He's still trying to maintain the pressure. Where he can, but obviously it's a very difficult situation to go 2-on-1 as a squishy. In an ideal world, he would swap into mid, and someone like Stitches would be going in the top lane. He's pinged for some assistance, which I can completely understand. Either Abathur or Alexstrasza needs to get up there. And he's actually trading quite good. I just want to point this out, right? Blue Team's drawn first blood, so, they have pulled back some of that XP. They're still not up to par because there's been no one down in the bot lane soaking. Genji's almost dead, which I've just noticed isn't good. They have managed to pick up a kill in the middle, which is good. They have managed to pick up a kill in bot lane, sorry. And mid lane currently looks like they're going to be losing it, but with Abathur's, a little bit of pressure, hopefully that should help. Arrow's actually traded really well. Against Deckard Cain and against Hammer. And he's currently waiting, I believe, for his fountain cooldown because he used it earlier. Now, that was a little bit of a mistake earlier on. He didn't necessarily need to go for the fountain that early, but sometimes it is better to just top yourself up early if you feel like the pressure's going to be on and they're going to be playing aggressive. So that's not necessarily a bad move, but you should try and reserve the healing fountain just a tiny bit. He did it just a little bit too early. Okay, so now he's in a real danger zone. Sergeant Hammer's splashing him, Deckard Cain. He's under his tower. He's fairly safe. The first thing he should be doing, seeing as he can't tap, he should be going back to base. About now, Arrow? Base? Okay, I don't like this indecisiveness. You've just seen the fact that he's come all the way down here on low health to get to a safe distance, right? He came down to about here. And anywhere realistically here, he could have quite safely backed and Hearthzoned. Instead, he's now returning to the lane which he just had the problem from. Okay, that's not a good position to be in. You need to make a decision. And one of the things that that a lot of new players often do, that is a misconception, is they don't want to go back to base because they feel like they're going to be losing XP when they're down there. But let's look at the stats real quick. We've got Genji down in bot lane. And just a quick look down on your minimap will be able to tell you this. Genji's down in bot lane. Okay, he's fully healed up and he's got an Abathur Hound. That's a practical 2v1 lane. Mid lane is faring okay at this point with the Abathur support. Yes, they're on a little bit of low money. You don't necessarily need to know that. But Genji's doing okay down here. Mid lane's stable for now. Even though, and there is this level discrepancy, this 3v4. When you're going into a 2v1 lane, if you are at a talent point disadvantage, you are going to really struggle. So the first thing you should be doing here, you should have backed out about maybe a second or two ago. by being here and indecisive, you're actually harming your team. It might seem like you're helping because you're staying in the lane, but you're not able to soak from this distance. The basic distance range for soaking is about here from Arrow's character. Okay, so anything beyond this, he'd be able to soak. Anything that's after this, so these minions here, he's not going to be able to soak at all. So him being in the lane is just being indecisive. You need to ask yourself, what can I be doing at this point other than what I'm doing here? I need to make a decision. I need to decide what to do, and you need to go for it. Right now, he's wasted 4, 5, 6 seconds of just moving backward and forwards, and now he's finally deciding to hard soak. That should have been a decision that was made earlier. That would have got you health quicker, that would have got you back quicker, and that would have got you back into the game quicker. Gonna fast forward it a little bit. Okay. So, a couple of bits of information that needs to be processed at this point. Tribute is going to spawn in 25 seconds. You're still in a lane with 2 people. Now, Sergeant Hammer's a good sieger. She's got the support of Deckard Cain. Mid lane is in a low mana position. They're not in the best position to fight against these. Okay? We know that Raynor's now going back into bot lane. So just a quick look. Boom, mid, not too good. Boom, bot lane, Genji against Raynor. Given that the Raynor has already died, it's possible that the Genji can handle it. It's better to actually sacrifice this at this point and safely rotate down. It's nice that he's keeping outside of this curve. That's good foresight. Sergeant Hammer would have just gone straight on you. A little bit of a rookie mistake, not quite knowing the distance. But again, the tribute is now spawned. It's at 0 seconds. It's just about to pop there. Abathur's got a little bit of cover. Genji is winning the lane, as predicted. Mid haven't started rotating down, and they're in a bad position. They really should tap if they've got it up. I'm not actually sure if they have or not. But yeah, they should be backing off and tapping. At this point, it's better to sacrifice top lane at this point. Good little dodge. Not so good there, but that was a good little dodge on the triangle. And this is why it's important to rotate quicker and make that decision to sacrifice this tower. This tower is not on a great deal of hit points. It's on maybe 20%, 25% at best. Mid lane, they have not rotated down. Okay? Genji's all alone trying to get it against the Raynor. Now, the Raynor should be able to hold it off and stall it until his teammates arrive. You can see Butcher's coming down. Muradin's holding mid, but that's a 2v1 situation that Genji doesn't want to be in. Staying in the top lane at this point is not the best move to make, considering it's the first tribute. Again, nicely dodged. See, sticking around in top lane here, you stood nothing to gain. You weren't going to push out against these two. You weren't going to hold it. This tower was definitely going down. In the meantime, down at the bottom lane, you can see that Genji has been forced to come down and actually retreat because the Butcher was coming up. And if you kept an eye on the minimap, you may have noticed that that Butcher had already started rotating down. That's where you should have been doing as well. By the time Butcher even thought about rotating down, you should have been in mid lane, maybe helping push out or shove this lane before going down. And that's now giving the enemy team an advantage. Now, I want to point this out. Arrow has clearly seen that his lane is abandoned, okay? But I want to point this out for other players because this is actually... It's not bad. And perhaps you'll see why in a second. So you notice how Arrow is sticking to this side, okay? This is good because if any of the threats were to come up from here, or this brush as Deckard Cain would do, he would be in a prime position to stay away from the majority of the threat. The only issue is he would have had no idea what was in here. If Sergeant Hammer was in here and Deckard Cain had come up, yes, he would have been able to have retreated down to here, but Hammer would have already been in range to deal some heavy damage onto Jaina as she retreated. Jaina does not have the mobility to be able to get rid of that. So how he reacts to Deckard Cain here, bearing in mind that Hammer may still be in lane, is going to be crucial to what happens next. Okay, he's staying on the far side. He's face-checked the brush. Maybe he thought that Hammer would have attacked him already. And he's holding in that brush. The tribute at this point is pretty much sacrifice. Genji's given up on it. It looks like it's going to be captured. Stitch has made a fairly decent attempt from looking at the map, but obviously not enough. So at this point, there is no point rotating down to the objective. It's lost. Mid lane is being held, that's fine. Sticking in top lane at this point is pretty good. However, you need to remember you now don't have a tower, you now don't have a fountain. So be careful about how far you push up. I'll direct you to the minimap on this one again. You can see just how much distance there is between you and the main tower. That's a long way without any form of protection whatsoever. So all it takes in this situation is for an enemy to come up, say, this way, or even do a full loop around this way, and you're trapped, you're cut off, okay? So that's a really bad spot to be in when you are this far up, okay? That's a real big threat. You want to make sure that you are no further than probably, I would say, where I'm drawing my black line now, to protect yourself away from ganks. Okay, so all in all, you want to make sure that you're not this far up in future. If this was a team that was a little bit higher rating, they might have rotated up and already taken the pick and taken that ahead. They are 1 point ahead, so that is worth bearing in mind.
Hero slain.
Okay, now this is interesting. Mid lane is gone. Okay, I know we're focusing primarily on Arrow here, but mid lane is rotated down to bottom. They're now shoving bot lane, so there's nothing up top, right? I don't think. I'm not too sure Alexstrasza leaving the lane is that smart of an idea. Yes, we've still got Abathur in there, who's still going to be doing his job. I don't think rotating down to bot lane at this point is going to particularly help, given the health of the teammates. But we'll see.
Hero slain.
So there we go. The health was a detriment.
Gather tribute or face my curse.
Interesting choice to see what happens now. Second curse is up. It's not going to impact any sort of game if you get it, but it is going to impact the game if the enemy team gets it. They're going to be on 2-3, and an early curse is not a good thing to have. We'll see what happens. So, again, he's trying to harass Deckard Cain. It's not really working at this point, and again, he is very far up. So that if I was an enemy team and I noticed this, I looked down on the minimap, I saw an isolated Jaina way ahead of any comfort zone, way ahead of any safety, I'd be taking that pick. So at this point, Arrow's rotating down. He's not mounted up, which is, again, a pretty rookie mistake. Chris said, mount up, you're going to get there quicker.
Hero slain.
Okay, so interesting trade-off. Alexstrasza has gone back to base. There is a hero slaying down in bot lane, but Stitches isn't supporting. Stitches is going back. He's got no mana. This curse, therefore, this cursed attribute is pretty much forfeit. So it's interesting to rotate down to mid. It's the correct thing to do if you are giving up the tribute, which I think they're going to do. It's in more of a comfort zone, and it allows you for the minions to push up. However, Now the trouble comes in where there's a potential gank being set up. So if you look down at the minimap, you would have noticed a few things. You wouldn't have noticed maybe necessarily the Butcher and the Muradin. My instinct would have been, okay, they've not shown up in bot lane. Either they've come back to base or they're rotating mid. So my instinct at that point is they've got the curse, time to back out a little bit. At the same time, we know that Deckard Cain has disappeared from top lane. So now the correct play for Arrow is to start moving back towards his defensive location, because again, he's quite far out and Jaina is a low mobility hero, so you need to play on the safe side. Instead, you push forward, which is the exact opposite thing that you should be doing. Butcher has now come out, and you can see Deckard Cain is going to collapse down from the top. Butcher is going to collapse down and continue to attack, which is never a good thing for the Butcher. And Muradin is going to come out and fully flank you. So you're trapped at this point. What you really do at this point, it's very difficult to say. Because you are in... this is what I was on about when I speak so many times to people on an individual level about punishing missteps. This right here is a classic example of a misstep. You've gone forward when you should have gone backwards. If you'd have gone backwards at this point, you might be here, and you might actually be out of range of Deckard Cain. If you were running up towards the upper side of your fountain, you may have actually survived this. From the look of things, unless they are very bad players, it looks like you're going to die. Yeah. So exactly what I said. Be careful of those sort of traps. They set you up really easily here, and they punished you for a misstep. Now it's about how you bounce back from it. Okay, so something interesting again that's happening here. And I do want to point this out. When you're returning to lane, look at the other lanes. Top lane has a huge minion wave. You know, because the maps are mirrored, your minion wave's here, so their minion wave has got to be here. So they're going to get additional reinforcements. By the time you actually come up to probably about here, which, again, is a fairly safe zone to get, your minions are going to clash with their minions, and then you can get the next minion wave. And that would actually pull back a giant proportional chunk of experience that you're missing at this point. Instead, you're rotating back to mid. That's not the smart way to do. Bot lane has got 3 people in it. You can see that bot lane has 3 people in it. Okay, you can only see that 2 people are in it. If you were attentive, you would have noticed that Hammer was there. I sped through it a little bit. And you can see that mid has actually pushed up all the way, assuming that there is at least one in there. So this would actually be fairly free XP to get. XP is more important at this point than engaging in a fight, especially considering on how close to 10 they are and how coordinated they are being as a team.
I grow tired of your petty squabble. Gather tribute. Earn my favor.
And again, this is another misstep. This is, again, punishing the missteps. This Butcher is doing everything right. I want to just check. I would just want to show the difference in positioning here. So what went from very good positioning in the top lane has now transitioned into pretty poor positioning in this lane. So Jaina is currently here. That's a dead space. You've got your tank already sat there, and your tank is moving to retreat. At the same time, you are going to be always, if you're retreating at the exact same pace, going to be behind this line of assault, behind the Butcher. So you should really be about here already before you're even trying to back out. At the exact same time, you've got Deckard Cain in a perfect position. He's in the back. You can't hurt him, even with your range as a mage. And Butcher, being the aggressor, can have all of the healing that he wants, as well as his self-healing, his slow, his CC. He's just popped 10. Assume that he's going to go lamb to the slaughter, because that is a really strong ability, as opposed to the other ultimate which Butcher has, which is more of a damage-based raw AoE, and I don't think he's going to be that good with charging. So, you know, I would have said lamb to the slaughter. Either way, it looks like you're about to die. Okay, so that wasn't necessarily the wrong thing to do, but you did it for the wrong reasons, okay? You turned around I want to just reverse this ever so slightly. And seek this back so you can actually see why it was a genius move, but not for the reasons why you were doing it. So right here, this is when the play starts, okay? When I hear that noise coming from a butcher, I know he's going to charge. He's got that tunnel vision, and you are in a perfect position to make sure the butcher doesn't get out of this alive, which is what happens. What you should have done, okay, you're at safety here. Okay. You're now at a point where you're almost safe and just literally keep walking in that direction and you're safe. But you turn around. That split second that it's taken for you to turn around is the difference between your life and your death. He was already charging you. He was already dead. He didn't need you to do any damage there. If you'd have taken just a fraction of a step more before turning around and being safe, you'd have actually survived that, and that would have been huge. You die, it's not the biggest thing, because, again, Butcher's going to die, and as you saw up top there, that was a massive chunk of XP that you got back towards 10. So the sacrifice wasn't in vain, especially given how Deckard Cain is now in the line of sight of these towers. He's going to take damage. He might even die if the Stitches gets a really decent hook off on him. And that could be like a game changer there from the Stitches point of view. But you shouldn't have died at that point. You should have just kept on running the safety. As I've said so many times, play it safe. At the end of the day, don't be a hero. Play it safe, take your moments, pick the fights that you want to pick. And if there's not a fight that you want at this point, don't fight. So, again, Stitches couldn't quite get the kill. Now, third objective's up. No one at this point has rotated. We know that there are 2 people down in bot lane, and we know that 1 person is in mid. We know that Butcher has just died, and Sergeant Hammer is currently missing in action. It's uncertain to say what has happened to Sergeant Hammer at this point. It could be that they're moving up. But if they were moving up, you would have seen it because you took this earlier vision. Because of this, you can safely assume that if Sergeant Hammer is on their way, then you should have rotated right there. Being the fact you're dead, obviously, you can't do this. But Sergeant Hammer is going to be incredibly slow, and the rest of your team should be moving up, as Stitches just did. Stitches is now taking the initiative. Is he going to be able to get it? No, not quite. Okay, so the first thing that you should be doing is going to support him. Okay, that's good. Actually, trying to sneak it at this point is not the worst thing to do. Muradin's clearly focused on Stitches. Just be prepared to peel off if you need to and do some damage. Okay, so now the problem comes in. Butcher noticed that you were taking it. He did a charge. Stitches had to fall back because of your low health. And again, look at this line of defense. The moment that Stitches was pulling back is the moment that you should have started falling back. Again, this is right now, the line of attack is from here. So your position should be about here. Okay? To visualize positions, you should always be in a safe distance from your tank. Okay? That's where you should have been. Sadly, you weren't there. So again, this is highly likely at this point you're going to die. Muradin's going to turn on you. If Butcher has Lamb to the Slaughter, which he hasn't actually taken, which is kind of foolish of him, he would have killed you there. As you saw, you got popped. Stitches at this point shouldn't have gone. And they've got the curse as a result. Okay, so your top lane is pretty damn damaged and your bot lane is doing nothing about it. I'm not sure you can exactly do a lot about Sergeant Hammer here, but equally, I don't think you could have done anything about this up here. So out of the 2, this is probably the smarter move to do. Give up this objective. The bot lane are not going to help you. Stitches isn't going to help you because he's dead for another 14 seconds. Abathur is being Abathur, just chilling, supporting where he can. You wouldn't have been able to take that fight. That's actually probably a better shout. Okay, so a little bit of a miscommunication here. Genji has come up and made the initiative. Okay. You were probably distracted by Stitches being toxic. Ignore the toxic players. They're really not worth it. Especially with a name like Bullshit, you could tell that he's not that good himself. And I could probably find his MMR and just point out the fact that he's trash. But if Genji's engaging, he's coming up to support you. It's a 2v1 fight. Really, really push hard for it. Even though you are a talent point down, it doesn't necessarily mean that you've lost that fight.
Red team has destroyed a fort. Blue team's core is under attack. Red team has destroyed a fort. Let the curse end.
So, biggest point of improvement right now is remember to mount up.
Hero slain. Hero slain. Red team has destroyed a fort.
So, you know, you passed that away there. Yeah. Unfortunately, you died. You tried. It didn't work out. Now time to play defensive. And also, I do want to point this out. Don't get toxic against other players. Even if they're being shitty to you, it's not worth it. Let them have their opinion. If you know what you're doing is right, and you're confident in your own ability, and you have all the power and all the needs to be able to, you know, just keep on playing, don't let them bother you. So this moment of indecisiveness here, not good. There's a fight going on in mid, you need to be pushing up for that. Again, you're sort of lingering over at the side, you really need to be pushing up with the team at this point. You know where four of them are. You don't know about Jim Raynor, but you should not be up here at this point. You should be pushing up with the rest of the team. Not sure if you were responding to a message at this point. Your head's got to be in the game. You cannot afford to spend time idle.
Hero slain.
So you were idle there for you know, a good 10 seconds. It's not good. If you're going to report someone or respond to a message, respond to them when you're dead. Or when there is literally no need for you.
Hero slain.
Okay, so they're actually winning a fight in mid. Reynor's come back.
There's enough tribute this time.
Okay, tributes now are in a pretty bad position. This is not the position that you want to be finding yourself. At this point, you've got to identify your win condition. When you're pushed back to your base towers on 2 lanes and right down to your core on the top lane, you want to make sure that you are putting a lot of your effort into siege camps, into applying pressure by other means on the map, and trying to shove where you can. Contesting standardly isn't going to work. So at this point, that tribute's forfeit. What I would start doing is, again, getting in on this fight in mid, rotating to a camp, picking up that camp, rotating to another camp, rotating to as many of these camps as you can to then provide an additional push. Okay, so Muradin's made a huge misstep here. He's going to be taking damage from these minions. He's going to be taking damages from you. Try and slow him. Try and kite him. Your ult's coming up in 7 seconds. This is a good situation for you to stall out, wait for your ult, and then push in. So he's been forced to pop his passive and his ult there, but he's got no mana. You could still keep providing the pressure. I don't think he would be able to get enough to kill you. You've popped your ult, now you need to follow through with it. There we go. You followed through. He's instantly losing health. Again, he's not got a lot of mana. You can continue to apply the pressure safely if you can. He's still going to be raging for that kill, so he still wants you. Okay, keep kiting. Good job. Keep kiting. Okay, and he's backing out. Now, hang on. Genji's coming up here. You know you've got supporting Genji. You should be going all out on this Muradin at this point. Fortunately, Genji could pick up the kill without you, but you should have pushed for that kill just a lot harder when you saw the Genji coming up. So now's the time to decide what to do. You need to rotate to this first, obviously, get yourself some vision, have a covering point if you get attacked, rotate down to this camp, or alternatively, turn the tide of this fight with Genji in the mid lane. There we go. Good job. You remember to mount up. That's good. And you've decided to turn the tide of the fight. Okay, this is good. This is where the tide can actually really turn. A 4-on-3 situation. Yes, they are a talent point ahead, but if you can get a pick here, it's going to really help you out. Good positioning at this point. You're at a safe point. Sergeant Hammer's been picked. You should be going straight on her. Bad positioning at this point. Again, you're completely alone and isolated here. If these guys came up from their point and just all swarmed you, you'd be dead. These guys are not going to be able to protect you from down here. You need to be all the way back here. Okay? Bad positioning on this one. Always try and think, where is the safest point for me to do damage from? If there is no safe point to do damage, don't do damage. It might be counterintuitive, as damage is your role, but it's better for you to not do damage and stay alive at this point and keep pushing and think about what other kinds of objectives you can get, as opposed to pushing up where you are and ending up, getting yourself into a really bad position. This mercenary camps up down here. This mercenary camps up here. You can take both of these with a little bit of assistance, admittedly, because Jaina's not the best at that. And then they can start shoving down in this bot lane where you need the pressure, and to counter the super minions that are coming up, these siege minions that are coming up in top lane. So, again, bad positioning. You should be thinking about what else you can do proactively. Okay, so this is what I was on about these mistakes. Butcher has hard engaged when no one else is in a position to help him. Yes, Butcher is probably thirsty for these meat stacks. He's not yet hit his meat stack capability of 200. Deckard Cain is not in a position to help him, nor is he in a mana position, nor in a health position to help him. And Sergeant Hammer is the only one, and she's a very slow character. You need to jump on this Butcher right now. Again, that little bit of indecision just cost you a kill on that Butcher. Poke, 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 poke from a safe distance. That little bit of hesitation where you were running away, don't do it. That's seriously bad. At the end of the day, that Butcher is hard engaged. You don't have a choice. You can back off. You can remain safe. Stitches, this is actually really strong positioning. Stitches is here. He's going to be taking the brunt of it. Genji has backed out because he's on low health. And yes, you and Alexstrasza are on low health, but you are behind the front of battle, which is here. You're in a good position to deal some damage safely, and because you hesitated, you backed and forth a little bit before you actually tried to make a decision on what you were going to do, that has now cost you this kill against the Butcher. Now Reynolds out of position. Genji rightfully jumps on him. Yes, you're low health, but you can take him down. Get on him. That was more your team's effort rather than you. At this point, you need to be pushing the picks where you can. Yes, Muradin has come up, but you know that Butcher's backed off. It's still a 4-on-3. There's no health for you to do, so rotating to a camp or to that cursed objective at this point is a really good move. The team is still fighting. You're all the way back. Okay, that's fine. This is the correct call. Do not engage. Alexstrasza's out of position. Genji is about to get back. That's absolutely fine. You should be able to get out of this one, but you don't engage. Maybe he can't get out. Okay, I take that back. I would have thought the Genji would have been able to do that. Don't tunnel too hard here. Careful, Muradin is a tank. And yes, Butcher and Deckard Cain have backed off, but Sergeant Hammer is still there, and she can fuck you up. There we go, that's a right call. Don't try and chase that kill down. You are just going to get baited into a kill. That's a good call. Now, in the meantime, Alexstrasza is all the way out of position. She's going to die, unless she rotates down. So now you need to think, okay, we can't take this fight. What else can I do that will help my teammates out because I can't take this fight with them? The answer is real simple. You've got top lane. Big old minion wave there that could possibly bring you up to 17. Curse is probably out of your reach at this point, given the front line of battle is way before the front of the Curse. My shout would be sacrifice that Curse, go to a 2 to 3 and contest the next one, and then take this, and then apply the pressure elsewhere. Now be careful of those sieges, they do a lot of damage. Make sure you hit and move if you're going to be there. Those minions will still hurt, you're very squishy. Go back, get some health. Go back in the lane. And I'm very surprised, but Alexstrasza actually made it out of that. So now here's the deal. You're currently on 2 to 3 curses. The enemy's win condition is curse then boss at this point. Alternatively, if they curse down bot, if they manage to get this curse, they can just take boss and top lane on their safe side and they can push to win. That's their win condition. That's what I'm thinking about. How are they going to win in this sort of a situation? So contesting that curse, making sure you keep an eye on that top boss, crucial. Bit of a skirmish going on in mid lane. What Deckard Cain is doing right now is what you should have been doing a while back with a little bit of assistance. You really should have taken that camp to provide the pressure. Otherwise, you know, then you would have been able to go and do some other things.
Gather tribute or face my curse. The choice is simple. Hero slain.
Okay, now I don't know what quite alerted you to that, but that was an interesting call. To check the brush, to check this camp here. Sadly, Deckard Cain would have seen you coming down, and he's now seeing that you're going back there. I'm not sure why they didn't go right back to there. But the curse is about to pop in 14 seconds. You need to make a play for this. Genji has gone in. He's got the Abatha hat on. You've now got support from Alexstrasza. Go hard. Keep pushing, keep pushing, keep pushing. Deal damage to whoever you can safely. That's fine. You're dealing damage to the Muradin. That's absolutely fine. Genji has got the Deckard Cain. You've now got some support from the Stitches. That's brilliant. You're going to wipe them off. This is going to be a team kill. You can take this objective. Now, at this point, you've taken this objective. What is your next point of call of play? You've got several options. Again, you can take this camp down here. You can take this camp down here. You can take this boss here. That is 3 things that you can be doing right now, and that is the first 3 things you should be getting on. Yes, bot lane is a little in a little bit of trouble. Mid lane is absolutely fine. If all your team are going to push in mid by all means. But those camps at this point are more juicy and going to be more helpful. Neutral camps are huge, and for the first time in this game, you've actually pulled ahead in levels. Use this to your advantage. Start taking these camps and start to push through hard. So there's been a ping on that camp, which I've been on and on about for so long. Not sure who pinged there, but that is the right call. Probably the Genji. You should be taking that camp. You should be helping them to clear it nice and quick so that you can rotate onwards. Again, getting the XP in top lane, it's not the worst thing that you could be doing, but it's far from the best thing you could be doing in this case scenario. Neutral objectives are going to be more important at this point. That top lane camp is now going to deal with these minion wave pushes, and it's going to stall them off and delay them for long enough. You now don't need to be there. Again, someone has pinged down for this camp, the one that's below. That's a good shout. Camp and boss. Exactly what I said. Camp and boss. Now here's the dilemma. There's been a stall. You didn't help with this, and that's probably more important. You're not in a position to help with this, you're not in a position to help with bots, so what do? Finish off this camp here. You've got 26 seconds before the tribute spawns. These guys should be finishing off this camp. You, with your health, should be going via mounting up, grabbing this healing fountain here, and preparing to contest this, because that's where they're going to be going. Alternatively, they're going to go for top lane boss. So you didn't get the healing fountain, I'm not sure why. I don't think you were on cooldown at this point. Genji knows what's coming up. He can see that there's going to be this battle for them. You should be rotating down to this objective. So, Stitches has now got sight on the Butcher, and you now know where at least 3 people are. You should be rotating down. The fact that you haven't rotated down at this point really concerns me. I know there is a siege camp in the middle. You've got a siege camp that's going to meet them, and yours is going to be at a higher strength. Don't stick around here. That's really bad. Get on the objective. In the meantime, they've now started securing this objective. They really could have used your help down here. Again, this big fight's coming down here. They need your help. You need to get down here yesterday. Come on, dude. And sadly, they've got the objective. Now you're cursed. Now you're going to have a worse time. This siege camp is not going to be helpful to you at all. The siege camps that you've got pushing top may still be helpful with the Abathur ult, but otherwise, you've really kind of screwed this up, my man. You should have gone straight down there to the objective. Staying in lane and getting XP at this point, you're already ahead. You've now got your heroes as a storm, your storm talent, your level 20 talent, and that's fine. But that was part of their win condition. And when I go on about win conditions and I say identify what your enemy's win condition is, they've just got part 1 of their win condition. These guys are still skirmishing. You could still juke down and help. They're still skirmishing. You still needed to get down there and help. They're winning, but that's not the point. You should have got down there to help out. Now, they're pinging for boss. That's a good shout. They've killed 3 of them. They now know where 2 of them are. Going for boss is the 100% correct thing to do here. You need to get on and you need to support that. And this relates to something that I was saying a lot in private, is that when it is better, and this is a mentality I've had since League of Legends, it is better for your entire team to go and make one bad decision than 2 members of your team not doing a good decision. Always better to group up, especially when you've now got this advantage. Okay, so interesting thing, as you're going through this, you should be looking at the minimap. Now, this wave's pushed up. If you don't see Sergeant Hammer and Deckard Cain, assume they've gone somewhere else. Okay, you've got the boss. You should now have noticed that Deckard Cain and Hammer are gone, and that whilst you still can't see Hammer, Deckard Cain's in the top lane. This is a safe boss for you to do. Question is, do you now try and take these siege camps down? Do you go up to their boss and see if they're trying to sneak it with just Sergeant Hammer? I would start putting pressure on that top boss. That's their identified win condition right now. They get top lane boss, they've won. You mounted up, that's good.
so the curse ends. Perhaps now.
So you've chosen to get mid lane. I'm not sure that's the best shout in this case. Again, top boss is their win condition. They've got a clear route through top boss. That's what you need to be focusing on. In the meantime, Genji is scrimming. You're now coming up. This is good. Okay. Whoa, okay. Now Genji has... Sergeant Hammer has tried attacking you. Genji's now engaged. You should be following up. Your ult's coming up. There's no reason for you not to follow up with this. Now Genji's out, but you can still take this fight. Deal damage to whoever you safely can. There's no tank at this point. Genji's out of battle. Don't even consider him a factor, but you have got Abathur helping you out. Genji's come back. You should now be able to turn the tide on this fight. Not sure why you're backing off to base. Again, if you stay where you were in a good position, you shouldn't have died. You've got the support there. You've got the healing. You've got plenty of mana. You should not be at base in that point. I think your problem is at this point, you are playing too passive for your own good. Staying safe is important, but you can't win a game if you are not attacking. You cancel it, that's good. But you cancelled it too late. It should never have got to that point. Now I know that top lane is pushing hard and your core is just about to be under attack, but it's fine. If you were backing for that, you were backing for the wrong reason. In the meantime, you just noticed that Alexstrasza has died. That's a long respawn timer for a level 21. You want to be careful at this point. Not super careful, but you want to be careful. Okay, that minion wave is now going to turn up fine. There's been an identified threat in top lane. You need to be taking a fountain or going back to base to heal up and then rotating top immediately. So again, Butcher has made a really bad mistake here. Yes, he is on 200 meat stacks. He can't go any lower now. But at the same time, he has misstepped. He's overstepped his mark. He's right on the border there, and he's chasing hard for that Genji. Go all out on this Butcher. Turn to Raynor. Good. Keep your focus on Raynor. Keep poking. Good. That's good. Stay at the distance. Yeah, that's absolutely fine. Okay, now you want to be backing off. Genji should be out there to help you in a second, but stay safe. Okay, good. You've turned back and you've engaged now that the Genji's there. Stay on him. Stay on him. Okay, you got there in the end. There was a little bit of hesitation when you did a back and forth. That's fine. As for this tribute, it's fine to give it up. That's not a part of their win condition. They clearly haven't identified the fact that the top boss is their win condition. That's fine. At this point, I'd start looking at other options. Again, you've got a camp that's just spawned just above you, a camp below you. You know where Deckard Cain is now. You've just seen him taking that. Take that, Iris. Go and get a camp. So the slight hesitation, you don't seem to be knowing what you're doing. Again, I know you're a new player, but always be doing something. Right now, you're just sort of aimlessly wandering around in the jungle. You're not progressively pushing anything. You've just seen Sergeant Hammer there. Good punishment, good pressure. Again, you punished her for a misstep. Tribute spawning in 29 seconds. Now, these tributes, now that you're in a slightly better position level-wise, are going to be more important to you. Getting a, especially considering that bot tower has gone down, getting these tributes might be instrumental in your victory. So your win condition is going to be focused on bot lane. So their win condition is going to be top lane. Yours is going to be bot lane. Your win condition right now, if I'm looking at this, is to get the next 2 curses and take bot lane boss. That was actually good. I'm not sure if you meant to do that, but staying very, very, very far at the back there was the right call to do. Because you are now covering and protecting this objective. Your other teammates had that. There was a 3-on-1. You're ahead in levels. No way you could have lost that 3-on-1 scrim. You know that they've taken that mercenary camp, which is fine. Again, you need to help Genji out with this camp. Good. And you should now have identified that they have taken bot lane. So at least one player is in bot lane. You may not know where the others are. Educated guess might say bot lane camp, which you've just now known about. You're taking this one, so it evens itself out. It's absolutely fine. So next curse is going to be spawning. This boss is going to be spawning in less than 15 seconds. Okay? I've identified that as your win condition. If you do that, you've won. So what's the point in these camps? These camps are going to stall out every other lane and protect your win condition whilst you start working towards it. Abathur has clearly identified your win condition, but now here's a problem. Okay? They've now got boss and top lane. Their win condition has been met. If they all walk that boss up, you have lost. Okay? My first instinct, now that they've got this win condition, is for you to drop what you're doing, hold off on your own win condition, and then move to top lane to intercept. Take down this boss as soon as possible with your entire team. Instead, it looks like you're going for a sort of base race. The curse is right there. Now, that's not necessarily a good thing. You know that 3 to 4 people are in mid, guaranteed. You know that they've just come from top lane boss. It might be that they're sacrificing this tribute, but they should be contesting it. You're gonna not be on the best of health. And again, 2 of your players are backing up. 3 of your players. Okay, bad positioning here. You're going to be in the thick of it. You're going to potentially die out of this. Yeah, bad positioning. It's okay. You can afford to lose this tribute. It would have been a perfect win condition because your boss is pushing down to get it. But at the same time, exactly what I called, your team need to go here. Genji made the right call here. Leave the tribute. It's not worth it at this point. Your core is going to be melting. And if they had actually come up and worked with their boss instead of going for that tribute, these guys would have just won right there. They've missed their win condition. This is good news for you because that means that they have got now another 3 minutes, 57 seconds for that boss to respawn. They've now lost that win condition. Their win condition has therefore changed. It's going to be get the next curse and then go for mid lane and bot lane. That's going to be their win condition. So make sure, excuse me, make sure that you get this next curse. Now, in the meantime, they are all pushing up bot lane. You know this. Your boss is now going to start wrecking their base. That's fine. It won't do as much damage as it could have potentially done, but it's bought you enough time. If this boss goes down, if the top lane boss goes down fairly quickly, before 40%, okay, that's good. You now stand a real chance with this. When you get up, the first thing you need to be doing is going down here and protecting your asset here. That's a good pick. Now you're rotating to protect the core. That's probably the smart thing to do as it was on 25%. You've just stalled out the game for long enough, but now you need to get on that. Someone needs to get on that curse. Mid's in a bit of trouble, but that should be fine. Sergeant Hammer cannot get this curse. The save by Genji. He needs some support though. Whew.
Red team dominated. Unacceptable.
Okay.
Shall know my curse.
So really, I know you wanted to finish these off, but that wasn't the correct thing to do there. Should have gone with the team. Now you've got the curse up, it is possible that this can go down. But they're just starting to respawn. Abatha's the only one pushing it. Not looking good. Going here is not a part of your win condition. So again, look at your positioning here. Look at the rest of the team and look where they are. And Genji's a melee assassin. He should be at the front line. Currently, he's here. Support just behind. Support's not in the best position. And Stitches is here. The battle line is right here. And who's at the very front? My boy, Arrow. You need to be right back here. Okay? You're in a very, very bad position to continue to push this, and if you don't back out at this point, you run the risk of taking unnecessary damage, and that is going to be really huge at this point in the game. It's so close. You've got the 2-level advantage, but you're in a really bad state. All of them are up except for one. Sergeant Hammer's coming up very, very soon. Be careful. Okay? Now you've backed off into the correct position. That's good. Genji went a little bit too hard there, but now you have to make up for it. You need to back off. Just back off. You can't win that fight. You can't win that fight. Just keep on backing off. Good poke. Good poke on the Butcher. Oh, good job. Good job punishing the Butcher there. That was brilliant. And again, your positioning at this point, really, really strong. You turned that from a fight that you couldn't win to a fight that you ended up winning purely on punishing the mistakes and the positioning errors. Again, bad positioning here. If your Stitches is nowhere to protect you, don't engage.
Red team's core is under attack.
Now here's a dilemma. Your win condition is still in bot lane. Bot lane is still your win condition. Boss camp spawning in 30 seconds. Curse probably coming up in about, what, 50 seconds-ish? It's the trade-off. Your win condition to stall out there, or stall out theirs. At this point, what I would be doing is going straight for this curse here. It's in a fairly safe spot, and then rotating to bot lane to take your boss. At the same time, their top lane boss has just spawned, and that's another one of their potential win conditions. Your base can't handle it. if that boss is taken. So it seems like they've identified that win condition now. Genji has spotted it at this point. He knows the boss is going on. You guys need to collapse in on that as fast as you can. You shouldn't have given up that fight. They've just got top lane boss. This is pretty much over now. If they walk this down, that's it. Good pick on the deck of Kayn, but you need to be getting on that boss. Grab the tribute and get on that boss as fast as you can. Now that is not good. They probably won at this point.
Gather tribute or face my curse. The choice is simple.
Yeah, that's game. Okay.
The team is victorious.
So at this point, I want to point out some key moments that were really detrimental to your overall game there. And it wasn't all your fault, but there were several things that you did good and several things that you did bad. The good points was when someone made a clear misstep, you exploited them. You went on them. That's the correct thing to do. That's what's going to keep winning you games if you keep exploiting the missteps of the enemy team. At the same time, you had that sort of an indecisiveness, and if you didn't identify that someone had made a misstep, you were sort of hanging around without really doing too much. You didn't end up pushing as hard. You didn't rotate to camps. Always be thinking, what am I doing now, and what should I be doing to help my team out? Backing and forthing, wasting 5 seconds, before Hearthstoning back, sticking to the sides so that you can talk, not rotating. All of that is giving up precious and valuable time. I say this time and again, Heroes of the Storm is a game of seconds and reactionary decisions. And these reactionary decisions are put off by hesitations. Hesitations are your biggest problem right now. Make a decision and stick to it. If it's a bad decision, you learn from that bad decision. If it's a good decision, you potentially win off the back of it. You did good in XP farming, making sure someone was soaking the lane. There were a couple of times where I thought, maybe not the best thing to be doing right now. But in a general consensus, that is the correct thing to do if you are behind in levels. If you are in front in levels, it's not necessarily a good thing to be doing, especially when there are neutral camps up, especially when it doesn't play into your win condition. And that's the biggest thing that I want you to take away with, is identify what is going to make you win quickest. You saw me give a bit of a running commentary. Your win condition, once that bot lane tower had been pushed, was always curse, bottom boss, walk it down. What happened? I called out the enemy team's win condition. As soon as they hit that, they got that last tower down in top lane, it was boss, walk it down, win. What happened? Boss happened, they didn't walk it down. You survived the first set of win conditions because they didn't walk it down. The next win condition, they were already on half health. Your core was already on half health. Was that top boss? You needed to check. You needed to commit a little bit more to it. If that was me, every time I looked down at the minimap and saw that they weren't in a lane, saw they weren't pushing the objective, automatically assume they are playing to their win condition. Identify their win condition and react to it. Make sure that you can do those two things. So 2 things to take away. 1, make sure you don't waste time. Make a commitment and stick to a commitment. And secondly, look at the map, try and work out what the enemy team are going to need to do to win the quickest, and assume they're doing it. And likewise, look at what you need to do to win the quickest, and execute it as best as you can. There were a couple of times where you could have had that. The battle was not one of those that was lost from the start. It sucked that Genji was AFK for the start of the battle. It sucked that, you know, you had almost so close to identifying that win condition when you took the bottom boss. That was your chance to have won that right there with that win condition. Unfortunately, it didn't work out. Genji made a lot of good moves. So if you're rewatching this back, try and watch what Genji is doing and think, why is he doing that? He did make a lot of good saves. He did make a lot of good contestations. He did have a clear idea of camps to rotate to and win conditions. That's my feedback. That's my coaching. Send me a video in a couple of days' time. I will watch that video and I will get back to you as that. And just like with this video, I will upload it to YouTube. So yeah, thanks very much for sending me the clip. Thanks very much for watching. I hope my comments and my breakdown analysis of this video has helped you out. And if anyone else is watching this, feel free to submit your clips. Hit me up in a direct message. Follow me on Twitter, twitter.com/wildcardhs, and send me your clips, and I will be more than happy to give you my 2 cents and hopefully make you a better player at Heroes of the Storm. So that's it. Thank you very much, and peace.